Hey everyone, welcome to the best US Mint news channel on YouTube. I'm sonofasilverstacker. Today's date is the 5th of May, 2025. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Lincoln cents deletion. We can say that, right? Deletion. We're also going to be talking about those Kennedy rolls and bags that are out tomorrow. And then we're going to do some follow-ups with some other items, those 8th era coins. Now, before any of that, if you're new here, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to reach a bazillion subs. It's a mighty big number. Not sure exactly how big it is, but I'm pretty sure it's ginormous. Also, we're always live, never edited, and always unscripted. I only have a general idea of what I'm going to say. Now, over here to moneymetals.com. Gold's up 75.75 to 33.30.10. A lot of duplicate numbers there. Silver up 44 cents, 45 cents now to 32.70. Platinum up 230 to 986.70. Palladium up 675 to 994.70. And Dr. Copper's flat at 469. Isn't that interesting? The more things change, the more they stay the same, I tell you. We're still above the, 100 to 1 gold ratio. Platinum and palladium are still in that parity, and Dr. Copper seems to be headed to $5 a pound. Over here, you're looking at it in stock American Silver Eagle, whose premium is $6.89 for a quantity 1 through 39. They got you paying $39.59. The sell to them price is $33.83, and that is definitely $13 above the spot price for silver. Now, next stop's going to be the United States Mint's press release, and the title of this is from April 29, 2025, Kennedy half-dollar products available on May 6th. And what's interesting about this article, if you read it, well, it doesn't say anything about 2026 half-dollars, nor does it say anything about the return to Kennedy half-dollar design for 2027. So we're not going to be looking into this too much. What I wanted to show you here was this 3625. Let me go ahead and highlight that for posterity's sake. And this one, all right, for $154.50 for the 200 coin bag. Now let's jump over here to eBay. Remember, $36.25 and $154.50. All right, I have here 76 results under completed listings, sold listings for the 2025 Philadelphia and Denver Kennedy half-dollar. And as you can see, look, there's no baggage here whatsoever. It's mostly just 4-coin sets. And then you start to see for $59, almost $50, yeah, those 2-roll sets that were what? $36.25. And like I said, I didn't see any baggage on here whatsoever. And do I have it here listed? No, I have it here highest first, and newly listed are just onesie Tuesdays. It looks like they have been picking these out of, pinching the bags and, taking the rolls apart and selling them individually. Look at that P&D half-dollar 2-coin set, $11.50. Somebody took that personal. Wow. Let's keep on keeping on. There's an article I wanted to share with you. Bingo. This is Cowboy State Daily. This is out of Wyoming, the state of Wyoming. This is from Renee Jean, May 4, 2025. It's a 5-minute read, but the way I talk, I'm probably going to make it last a half hour. It says here, Lummis behind bill to force U.S. Mint to stop making pennies. So a local representative is behind the bill to stop minting pennies or Lincoln cents, whichever you prefer. It says here, with a $36 trillion national debt, wasteful government spending has to stop, says U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis. She said that's why she's behind a bill to make the U.S. Mint stop making pennies or striking, which costs more than 3 cents per penny to make. And what's interesting about this, it seems like it's all symbolic, because we know that, look, if the Mint is actually going, oh man, we got to, or no, whoever it is who wants to stop making these pennies, they're saying, okay, we can't make the penny anymore. We're losing 2 to 3 cents on every Lincoln cent that we strike. Well, did you see the annual report for 2024? Yeah, that Jefferson nickel cost 14 cents, maybe almost 15 cents after this year. What's the loss on that one comparative to the penny, right? So, yeah, it's all symbolic, I think. Otherwise, they would get rid of the Jefferson nickel as well. And that's my opinion. Now look at that. That's a jar of pennies. Love that. Pennies still find use at the Diamond Horseshoe Cafe in Cheyenne, where some of the clientele prefer to pay their breakfast and lunch tabs in cash. Yeah, or maybe their tips, right? The use of pennies is in spite of the fact that owner Kendra Scott has rounded her menu to the nearest nickel in hopes of avoiding them. Folks, do you remember the pandemic? They were doing that. And during the pandemic, they'd actually buy some of the coins you had for over face value. Remember that? Now, do you ever go to locations where you actually have a owner that rounds up on their menu? Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? And I'm sure you do. You just don't know it or haven't asked, right? But when her payment system calculates the 6-penny sales tax, that invariably injects at least a few pesky pennies into the transaction. And that's something I think that is specific to Wyoming. It is voluntary tax for infrastructure projects. And that's how they get that 6-penny, right? So that has Scott wondering what a business world without pennies actually looks like for her breakfast and lunch cafe, particularly when the final transaction adds up to something like $6.36. Well, we know with that bill, it would be rounded down if it was a 6 or 7, but if it ends in an 8 or 9, we're going to round up, right? That's the way it works here. So it'll be $6.35. Now, she said, am I going to take the loss or am I going to take $6.40 from the customer? Well, we know, right? It's a question she might need to answer sooner rather than later. With a bill now circulating in Congress that seeks to make the production of the money-losing pennies a thing of the past. Senator Cynthia Lummis, Republican out of Wyoming, has announced a bipartisan bill to stop producing pennies, working with the New York's Democratic Senator Kristen Gillibrand, as well as U.S. Representative Robert Garcia of California and Lisa McClain of Michigan. Lummis cited the cost of making pennies, 3.07 cents to make per penny, as her reason for getting behind the bill. But really, I mean, like I said, there's another coin that has way worse loss than the penny. And why don't they address it? Like I said, I think it's lip service. I think it's symbolic. Let's keep it on. All right, I agree with President Trump that the time has come to fully end production of the penny and save American taxpayers money. But wait a minute. Here's the thing, folks. The United States Mint doesn't get any appropriated fundage from the Senate, the Legislative Congress, none of it. They make their own money, literally. And they make it through seigniorage. They make it through bullion sales. They make it through numismatic sales. There's 3 avenues of revenue that the United States Mint has, and none of them come from Congress. Okay, so to say something like that, it seems ignorant or maybe unaware. And ignorant's not bad. It's not a bad word. It just means you don't know. It's different than stupid, right? And we don't like to say that word at all. Okay, she said in a statement, the fiscal reality is undeniable. The U.S. Mint spends 3 cents to produce each 1 cent coin. And it says here, and here we go, they reiterate this so many times, with a 36 trillion national, it's amazing. Yeah, I'm going to keep on. Gillibrand, meanwhile, said the penny is outdated and inefficient, not the currency for the future. What is? Digital money? See, they say something like that, and they don't have an alternative, right? That's kind of interesting. By suspending its production, we can reduce government spending. Okay, if you say so. Streamline transactions. They're already doing that. Remember that? The Fed is doing that last year and the year before. Fed now. And move towards a more practical financial system, she said. And it already is. I think the financial system is already changing and nobody told anybody. A lot of new payment methods are popping up out of nowhere on my favorite online retailers. Not sure I like it. It's time to invest in a future that works for the 21st century economy. And that starts with suspending production of the penny. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, here we go. This is probably one of the most important aspects to consider when they do get rid of the penny. And none of the other articles that we have read, had even addressed this. It's called inflationary creep. I don't know him, but he doesn't sound like a good guy, creep. All right, it says here, it could take a while for pennies to disappear from circulation, depending on how the matter is handled. When Canada stopped, this is perspective, right? Historical perspective. When Canada stopped minting pennies in 2012, for example, they had citizens turn pennies into their banks in an effort to more quickly remove them from circulation. Now, I think the United States Mint, they wouldn't do it to pennies, but I think they would do it to nickels. I think they would want those nickels back because they hold a good amount of strategic metals. The penny, yeah, not so much. It's mostly zinc. And really, they don't really, zinc is a dime a dozen. No, it's 3 cents, right? So they're going to ask, I believe, in the near future, that they have the Jefferson nickels coming back. And I think what they're going to do, they're going to try and remove all of them from circulation. And they may, in the beginning, say, well, we'll give you double face value, 10 cents, okay, to turn in your nickels, right? Because they're worth 15 cents to strike and produce and all that, distribute. Well, and then maybe 6 months, maybe half a year later, they say, well, we'll give you face value for those, right? And they're trying to phase them out, get them out of the system, giving people incentive to turn them back into the bank so they can get them back to the, melt them down, use them for their metals. And then maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, we'll give you 2 cents or 1 cent for each nickel. So I think that's possibly what could happen. Now it says here, Lummis's office told Cowboy State Daily the bill doesn't call for actively removing pennies from circulation, so pennies might still circulate for a long time to come. But it says here, once pennies do disappear, the likeliest outcome, according to one of the Wyoming's longest-serving state senators, Charlie Scott, is price creep. Who is that guy? He doesn't sound very nice. Presuming we keep nickels, Scott said. Oh, that's interesting. That's an address you need to do. You can expect that merchants, when you buy something, are going to tend, here it comes, whether they're dealing with cash, to round up to the nearest highest nickel. Absolutely. And if you don't think that they won't, I don't want to say naive, but I just did. So I think you can expect to see some of the level price increase because of that. It will be mildly inflationary. And, I think maybe 2 to 3 cents, 4 cents per product is nowhere near as inflationary as we've seen it in the last few years, right? I mean, it's just some products are $2, $3, $4, $5 more than they were just a few short years ago. So a couple pennies, yes, it is inflationary, but in the grand scheme of things, it's minuscule in comparison to other types of inflation that we're seeing lately. Scott said he doubted most businesses owners would round down and take the loss themselves if customers could no longer make the exact change. He expects that any differences between sales tax and the item sales price would likely be pocketed by the merchant. Oh, that rascal. And what would that make? Well, doesn't that make an incentive to use digital payments? Absolutely. Absolutely. And does this usher in this bill getting rid of the pennies? Is this the first usherance of is that a word? Is that going to start this digital CBDC, the central bank digital currency? Could be, right? As far as these so-called 6-penny sales taxes that adds pennies to so many cash register receipts, Scott doesn't believe eliminating pennies will affect those taxes over the long term. That's important because those 6-penny sales taxes are doing millions of dollars of work for Wyoming's municipalities and counties. It's just an expression, Scott explained. The 6-penny sales tax is really just a percentage. And that's 6-penny sales tax. That's interesting. Maybe some other states can do that as well to maybe manage their infrastructure a little bit more timely. Scott pointed out those paying with a credit card or check would still be able to handle exact change without any actual currency changing hands. That's interesting. And, in digital payments, in the digital world, I guess 1Z, 2Zs, 3Z, 4Zs are perfectly acceptable still. But if you're paying with cash, I think you're going to pay a little extra, he said, no doubt about it. Now, here we go. We're talking about nickels. This is great. What a great article, right? It's very comprehensive. You got to hand it to this lady. Fantastic. Justin Schilling, Deputy Director for the Wyoming Association of Municipalities, told Cowboy State Daily he doesn't believe eliminating pennies would affect the 6-penny sales tax that help fund municipalities across Wyoming. One thing he does expect, though, is that the move could push more people to cashless transactions, a trend that's already happening. Absolutely. And if you don't think that's happening, well, you haven't tapped to pay yet, have you? A lot of people are using Apple Pay or Google Pay, these kinds of things where they just tap their phone to the terminal, he said. They don't even pull cards out of their wallet anymore. I think there's just more and more adoption of those kinds of technologies. Coins aren't just being circulated or touched and put back into circulation as often. And I got to tell you, folks, you should have an RFID blocking wallet, passport, and thing for your phone. Well, maybe not for your phone, rather, but for your wallet and your credit cards. Because I live in Orlando, and it is the home of fraud. I mean, people walk by you. If you don't have RFID blocking wallet, they're going to read your credit card chip. All they got to do is stand next to you with these scanners. It's incredible. It's kind of scary. Now, it says here, however, to the extent the lack of a penny means more nickels are needed into circulation. See, wow, right? I'm telling you, this could be a domino effect, right? Think about that. What pressure is going to be put on the nickel now that we're getting rid of the penny? Think about that. Nobody's talking about this. Let me read that again so it sinks in a little deeper. However, to the extent that lack of a penny means more nickels are needed in circulation, Schilling wonders if stopping penny production will save as much money as expected. Now, folks, think about that. If they strike more nickels, okay, because they got rid of the penny, because, well, and what's interesting is they need to talk about how many millions of dollars they lose in pennies. If they lost $87 million in striking pennies last year, well, what's going to be the difference when they strike those nickels and they're losing, 9 cents? How many 9 cents do you need to get to 87 million? And is that the difference in nickels, right? So this could be just a folly waiting to happen. Oh boy. They really are, they're getting knee deep in the muck. That's because nickels are actually a much bigger money loser than pennies. While it takes 3 cents to make a penny, according to the United States Mint, each nickel costs about 14 cents to make. Yeah, and it's probably going to be higher this next year. Lummis' office did not respond to a question from Cowboy State Daily about whether the nickel is a problem, too, given how much more it loses than pennies. Yeah, they got to really work that out. They got to do some serious soul searching because, like I said, getting rid of the penny is purely symbolic. The Mint decides how many coins to make each year based on demand forecasts from the Federal Reserve Bank. The latter orders coins on a monthly basis based on what their members' banks say they need to satisfy customer transactions. And they didn't need many nickels last year, did they? Think about that. And they're not going to need many quarters because the United States Mint and the Federal Reserve went gonzo because there was something called a coin shortage that was really a circulation problem. So the Mint and the Federal Reserve said, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, we got to go gonzo, striking many, many coins. So they went gonzo in 2021, 2022, and then they went, whoa, Nelly. And then they kind of started ramping down in 2023, and then they really started ramping down in 2024. Oh, yes, they did. Yeah, realization's tough sometimes, right? Armored cars and trucks then take the newly minted coins from either the Philadelphia or Denver Mint to one of the Reserve Bank's 28 branch offices or to one of the more than 200 private sector coin terminals. Yeah, and you remember the other day we did a story about a truck overturning in Texas where they were picking dimes out of the dirt. Bummer in the summer. From there, they are distributed to banks as needed, entering general circulation that way. Now, let's keep on keeping on. I got to show you this is wrapping up, and I think it's done tomorrow. This is my 8th era coin with Drin. Right there, DRYN, out of 240. That's me. And I will give the winner of this a signed Son of a Silver Stacker sticker and some other goodie as well. Now, let's go to the plus one. I got a really good one for you today. You know, when somebody asks you, what's the meaning of life? Well, you'll hit a home run every time. Every time if you say this. Yeah, the golden mean. It's the meaning of life, right? Meaning. The golden mean is to love this world, do good in life, and aspire to the world to come. Yeah. Saʿadia ben Yosef Gaon said that. And I know I just said that wrong, but hey, I gave it the old college try, didn't I? Now, with that said, let's bounce over here to 99.9 KOIN Coin News Radio. This is Black Sabbath, and this song is called War Pigs. And oh boy, I gotta tell you, those war pigs are gonna have their judgment day soon. Yeah, it's kind of exciting. Can't wait. Now, with that said, I want to thank you all for coming. Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you do like what you're going to see, hey, sub the channel. It's absolutely free. What's not free, though? Yeah, that's membership. That's $1.99 a month. But just like each and every single one of these quality channels, they are helping me make these videos come out each and every single day. And it's no picnic, I got to tell you that. Have a great day, everybody. Stacker out.